Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I love how we can always open it up that way because no matter where we are in the world or what time zone we are in, we can all come together at one time and have a grand old time here on the Human AI Sellovatorz program. So I'm super excited to have Courtney here. Yay!
Hey!
Wherever and let us know where you're located because I know, again, we're all over the world. I'm here in Houston, Texas. And yes, that is where the hurricane hit yesterday. So we'll talk about that in a moment. But I'm going to have Courtney share with us where she is located.
Hello, everyone. Denise, thanks for having me. I am out of Charlotte, North Carolina. We did not have a hurricane, but it is hot. I will say that.
Yeah, well, it's hot now. And it was like, if you can imagine hurricane and now it's hot. So it's muggy hot. And we were laughing because Courtney and I, the last time we spoke, didn't have power. Yesterday, I actually had power, but I did not have water. So I was lucky that I actually got water back so I could have a shower this morning before the show.
And you look great, Denise. I told you I was coming, shower or no shower.
Yeah, she said she would rock it with me and
Yes,
protest the shower as well if I had to. So
I'm all in
awesome.
support.
Yeah, so I'm excited to be here. I'm thankful that everyone else is here. Let us know where you might be located by letting us know in the comments below. Even if you're on Team Replay, let us know, #Team Replay, so we can always come back and engage with you after the show. But again, I want to thank everyone for being here. I think everyone knows, but I talk about sales, AI, and humanity. And this is really the sales arm of that content. And that is where we talk about all things sales. I have amazing experts that come on and join us every week at 9 a.m. Houston, Texas, or that's Central Standard Time, where we really engage in good conversation about all things that help us elevate sales. You know, my mission is really to elevate sales. And I love that Courtney actually uses the term elevate as well, but it's to elevate sales, to cultivate exceptional sales results. And essentially that's really, I think, elevating sales, elevating us so that we become a noble profession again, right? I mean, it feels as though sales has been devalued. And so I love the topic that we're going to talk about today because it's really about how do we value ourselves again, right? And it's going to come from within. So, Jita, I'm so sorry if I mispronounced your name. Yay. Yay.
Hello.
All right, good. Courtney knows you. Yay. Thank you.
She's a rock star medical sales rep. So great to see you, Gaida.
All right. Yay. And Gaida. So thank you. I love it. Ooh, where's Gaida from?
Arizona. Phoenix,
Really?
Arizona.
That's
Scottsdale, Arizona.
okay, Gaida. I'm going to have to check you out because that's an interesting name. So I would think that your name is from another culture. So I would love to connect.
She's Filipino. I'm pretty for
Oh,
sure, Gaida. So if you can confirm that. Yeah.
all right. Awesome. All right. Good. Well, we're happy to have you out here, Gaida. I'm super excited that you're here. I normally do not do an introduction to my guests because quite frankly, I would never do them justice, but I do want to share how I met Courtney, which is really interesting. I'm on LinkedIn a lot, right? Oh, she says, yes. Yes, please. Awesome. I'm guessing that meant in connecting with her. So I'll be sure to do that, Gaida. So I always meet all of my guests here on LinkedIn because I spend a lot of time, like I know Courtney has been doing as well. It is part of our business model, right? Prospecting and creating visibility and credibility. So putting ourselves out there. And I met Courtney just through the feeds. I mean, she would do these, she was doing a video challenge, I think, right? Where you had to
Yes.
dance. So you were dancing like every day. And I loved her videos. And somehow, I don't really know how, the universe put us together. And we've had some amazing conversation, engaging in one another's content. I love her energy. I love what she does. She's an amazing salesperson. So I'm super excited to have her here. I won't do, again, any justice if I continue to introduce her. So I'm really going to let her take it over from here. So Courtney, if you could share with everyone where you're from, we already know that, but a little bit more about yourself. And Chella, hi, welcome. Good to see you here. Love Chella. All right, Courtney, you take it over now.
Awesome. Okay, yes, the LinkedIn gods, that algorithm, who knows how we got connected, Denise, but I'm so glad we did. So again, I live in Charlotte and I've been in the med tech space for over 20 years, primarily in a sales focused capacity. I've done marketing, I've gone in house, done that, but then really found my passion back out in the field, interacting with customers, and really, I'll be honest, my competitive edge taking over, that fire inside to get out and to win, right? So, while I worked for very big medical device companies such as Stryker, I then left Stryker and I created my own product and went on Shark Tank. Did a crazy deal with Mark Cuban and Laura Grenier. It was a whirlwind of an experience. Loved it. I learned a lot. The product was so basic. It was called a monkey mat. So instead of carrying a big bulky blanket to a concert or a picnic or traveling, you just carried the small little pouch and then you would just whip out a mat whenever you wanted to sit somewhere. So super simple. But then realized, unfortunately, Denise, financially, it just wasn't going to just work.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I found myself, and also something was missing. There was a void in my life. And I come to find out my why wasn't being served. And what was my why? It was to always be able to financially support myself. And I had lost that. And it's something I found when I was in sales. So I jumped back into medical device, but I told myself if I was going back into med tech, I would only work in a startup capacity.
Ooh.
Why? Because I love wearing multiple hats. I love being challenged. When you start with a company that no one knows the name, right? Your game is even elevated even higher. You've got to perform at a higher level. You've got to think outside the box even more. So basically, I've jumped back into medtech, worked for a startup that was acquired, and now I'm at a new startup called Cooler Heads, and we help chemotherapy patients minimize hair loss. So, and it is super exciting and rewarding. And I am the global VP of sales and marketing.
Yes, and I love that. Well, so first off, thank you for sharing a lot of your history, not even just a little, a lot. And I love that, which there's so much we could unpack there. I know we have
Yeah.
a topic, but there are so many things we could talk about, which is, most people, one of the things that's dear and near to me, and I even talked about that, I think last week, in my solo live that I've started doing once a week. But I think most people struggle with their why, right? I think
Yeah.
that most people think they know their why. So when I started, so for example, this is only for the sake of an example. When I started Success with AI and my Sellovatorz program, I thought, my why at the moment was I'd always wanted to own my own business. It felt like there was a gap I could fulfill. And oh, by the way, it just timing was perfect. I didn't love where I was at. So it seemed like, and I thought that was my why. But that wasn't really
Yeah.
my why, right? I mean, I had
Right.
to really dig deep to truly understand my real why. So this isn't about me, so I'm not going to worry about spending that necessarily any time on that. But I love that you have really uncovered and understood that your why is to ensure that you are financially stable on your own, independently financially stable, right?
For sure.
And it's
And
not just
oh, go
go ahead.
ahead. Keep going,
No, no,
Denise.
no. No,
No.
no, no, you go.
I mean, to your point, your why can change multiple times throughout life, right?
Yes.
And when I first got into med tech, that was a big part of my why, was being able to financially support myself. So when I lost that moment when I was an entrepreneur at Monkey Mat, I felt like I was suffocating, right? Like I was lost, I was drained, and I realized that is still an important part of my life. And so to get that back felt amazing. However, my why today is different. That still resides in me, right? Like it's still there, but there's something else. And that is really just to help others. If I can help others shine their light and be better and bigger, it lights my internal flame, fire.
I get it.
Yes, you got it. Everybody shine.
Well, which really is a great segue into our topic. If we're talking about elevating sales so that it becomes a noble profession again, it really is about, finding your inner strength. It's about, living your own why. It's about, living in this mind space where you're living your best life. You're present, you're in the moment. It is about a positive mind space, right? A space where you can tackle anything that comes your way, where things flow, where, it may not be perfect, but you can manage those micro moments or navigate them more easily, right?
Right.
So maybe tell me what really prompted you? Why the passion to focus on your inner strength? Is there some history or maybe some reason why you decided that that was something you really wanted to focus on?
Well, very loaded question. So when I was back at Stryker, one of my first mentors was really big on the Gallup Strength Finder. I was a
Mhm.
young professional. I was in my mid 20s, and if anybody is in their mid 20s now, or if we can reflect back, it's a really unsettling time, right? Like you go to most people went to college, they leave college, they're ready to conquer the world. And unfortunately, it's not as easy as it seems. And when my mentor had me do the Gallup Strength Finder and we really honed in on my top 5 strengths, it allowed me to see myself in a different way. And when I say that, it made me realize, wow, this is who I am. And it's okay. I need to own that. Right. So they say your strengths will not shift much in your life. So, which is really interesting. When I took my Gallup Strength Finder in my mid 20s, I took it again in my early 40s, and I only lost one strength,
Oh, wow.
which is crazy. It is
It is
just
crazy.
wild. So, once I really started to focus on what those strengths were, it allowed me to understand myself better. And if I understand myself better, I can communicate myself better. I can be myself better. I can be in my skin. I know what makes me tick. I know what makes
Mhm.
me thrive. And the goal is to be as normal and real as possible with our customers, right? I don't go in there and say, I'm here to sell you something. I'm in there to understand what the problem is. How can I help you? We are all consultants at the end of the day, or that's how we should think. If we're not taking that approach, then you need to rethink your sales strategy. Because if you're not there to solve a problem, why be there in general?
But unfortunately, and so let's talk about sales in general, right?
Yeah,
Unfortunately, what I see happening a lot today is that there are salespeople. Again, they probably don't know what they don't know, but I find salespeople trying to sell you right away, the pitch slapping, right? It's no longer about, we traditionally in the past we manage or navigated through cold calls and cold emails, but it's not the same thing anymore. We don't appreciate it, we don't love it, it's not personable, right? And it's almost as though they're assuming that they know what a problem is, but they haven't yet validated with you, nor have they, if we're being honest, have they even done enough homework to even understand whether or not they're in the
yeah,
right, even in the right vicinity of what a problem might be that you might be encountering, right? And they just
right.
randomly shoot something out. And that's happening more and more and more. And it's not because there aren't great salespeople. There are great salespeople. But for some reason, we're only seeing the shitty ass ones, excuse my language,
Yeah,
Lindsay, right?
yeah,
Instead of the ones that, and I realize that it's not all their fault. It is, again, they don't know what they don't know, but there's got to be a way for us to really help them so that, and that's, part of the reason why I do all these shows, and like you and I, we generate this content because it's so very important for us to educate others so that they understand that there's a better way to sell, and that is with
yes.
to partner with your buyers or your
It,
prospects.
exactly. And I know we're here to focus a lot on strengths, but at the same time, what I see over and over again from many sales reps and lots of even just people in general is they don't listen. They go
Yep.
in there and they just word vomit and have diarrhea of the mouth. And I think it's only gotten worse since we became a virtual world.
Yep.
People have lost how to connect with others. And when you're on that virtual setting, it can be hard to connect, right? You feel a little awkward. It's hard to read people, but we have to do our best to still stay in touch with that emotional intelligence that we have inside ourselves.
Which goes back to our strengths, right? Understanding where our strengths are and how we can highlight them, and maybe we do or maybe we don't focus on improving our negatives, the areas where we're not as strengthful as
I
strong.
got you, Denise. I'm following.
Gosh, this is
You know,
sad.
we all know our weaknesses, right? But I like to look at it from my strengths. If I looked at if you asked me my Gallup Strength Finder, what was at the bottom of my list, I have no clue,
Couldn't tell
Denise.
you.
I
Yeah.
don't even look because I really have made it a conscious effort to only look at my top 5 strengths and to understand how to maximize those strengths, but also what are the pitfalls of my strengths, right? Because every strength of ours has a weakness. So,
Yes.
for example, my top 5 strengths are I'm an activator, I'm strategic,
I'm writing
I'm
this down.
positive, I'm competitive, and I'm a maximizer. Okay. And I can see all those surface. And when I'm really in like a heated moment or like an intense situation, I see these strengths elevate in myself, right? Like if I know, for example, I'm in a competitive situation, I am ready to take action. I am fired up and I'm going to do everything in my power to maximize my opportunity to win that deal.
Yep.
And I'm going to be positive about it. Right? So right there, I have hit every strength I have. However, at the same time, those strengths have pitfalls. So while I'm an activator and I maximize my time, guess what? I'm so all about taking action. Sometimes I forget to take a few steps back and look
And
at the full picture,
yeah.
right? And that can burn me. And I've been burned in that way. Right? Maximizing. I am so about efficiency and trying to get everything done because more than likely I got something else to do. Right?
Yep.
And I've got to keep my game rolling.
And not everyone goes at your pace.
Yes. And I also have to understand that there are people that take time to process, Denise.
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
My husband's one of them. If I'm ready to do something today or like it's a big life change, he he gets quiet for a moment. And it's still hard for me to figure it out this day. And I know what he's doing. He's processing. Like I have people on my team and great friends that are also processors. But
Mhm.
I'm like, I have the best idea and I need to make it happen today. And they're like, whoa, Courtney, okay, slow your roll. Let's walk through the steps. I mean, I can envision I did it yesterday on
Right.
with my team about something. Right. So my competitiveness. I mean, this hit me in the butt last week. I am so competitive that I am, and everybody hear this, most of us sales reps are very competitive.
Yes, we
That
are.
when you feel that fire inside and you lose something, a big deal, we want to, we want to trash talk people. We want to because we just
Mhm.
feel so burned. We
Yeah.
don't want to
Not
trash talk
everyone.
people.
Yeah.
No, I'm
No.
saying we don't want to.
No.
Inside, we might feel that way, but don't handle it that way. Handle it with class, right? But what that does when I lose something, it fuels my fire inside and it makes me really, again, want to take action, get strategic, and how am I going to be better than them in their game moving forward,
Get it. Yep.
right?
Yep.
So, again, do not trash talk your competition. I do not believe in that. And I don't think any of us should.
Mhm.
And your customers see it. And it honestly makes you look bad in the end.
It does.
Always be better. So now, Denise, I just rambled about strengths. Sorry, I just went on
No,
a
I love
tangent
it.
on my
I love it.
soapbox.
No, I love it. I do want to recognize Gabe. So, FYI, Gabe is like the live streaming guru, right? Like
Okay.
oh, if you don't know Gabe, go and check him out. He's in Dallas. I met Gabe. I met him through LinkedIn, obviously, and on lives. And I was I was in the audience for a lot of his lives when I first got on LinkedIn. He since has shifted a bit in what he's doing, and he's got, I mean, an amazing fiance, and life is grand for him right now. But he's in Dallas, checked in on me yesterday to see how I was doing with the hurricane. I thought that was super great. But I do want to make sure we acknowledge some of the amazing things he said about you. So he said, dang, this lady has spirit. He says, I like her moxie, sounds like a real go-getter. And you can hear the passion and excitement in her voice. Now, let me tell you, Gabe.
Thanks, Gabe.
She needs to connect with you, but you need to connect with her. I mean, just go back and look at some of her content where she's dancing. And I mean, this woman has passion. She has movement. She has excitement. I mean, the energy level is out of the roof.
Gabe, these are my jazz hands, and I love jazz hands. So these are for you.
Oh, that made me so
I can't wait to connect, Gabe. Well, you know, what I discovered, and back to kind of like the strengths, Denise, is once you really are confident with your strengths, it allows you to be confident in yourself and who you are as a person, right? And my motto that I have brought to the surface once I really, really embraced who I am as a person is be bold, be confident, be you. Because if you can be that way, your light starts to shine with everyone you encounter. They see it, they feel it. And passion sells. It really does. If people, you can't sell something to your customer if they if they don't see your excitement. If you don't, if you're not bought into your own product, forget about it. You got to believe in what you do. Sorry about the dog.
She's excited. He's excited. The dog is excited.
Everyone's excited around here.
The jazz hands.
Yeah, with the jazz hands. So, you know, when I made it my mission to start sharing my voice on LinkedIn, it was over 3 years ago. It's been a process. But really, when I did my last video challenge that you talked about, Denise, about I did a 30-day video challenge. Every day I had to post a new video. And slowly I just started to be more me. And me is positive, being a little goofy, dancing, having fun. And I have now brought that into every aspect of my life.
I love that, because I will tell you, when I first got on LinkedIn, I really struggled with being me. And, you know, I grew up in this, I grew up, and nothing against anyone, but I always thought I had to be what everyone else wanted me to be. Right. And that's really how I lived most of my life. Right. I mean, I had moments where I allowed myself to shine through, but, you know, that was in moments. It was not really my life. That was not who I was. It was always how I had to show up for everyone else. And it finally, when I went through this journey of healing, I really realized, you know, I really need to show up the way I, you know, with who I am, even that quirky self. So I started these lives, right? And I mean, I do a live almost every single day. You would think I love video. I actually hated video when I started them, right? But I knew that if I was going to put myself out there, I was going to have to do something that I hated doing, which was video. So I started just doing them, right? And then it was like, okay, so now I don't hate them. I like them, or I can manage to them. How about that? I don't like them. I can manage to them. But I love that I've now put myself out there, even my quirky self who just snorted a few minutes ago when I was laughing so hard, right? I mean, but you've got to just be yourself. People really appreciate that. And I always appreciated it in everyone else. But when I wasn't myself, I wasn't seeing the true self of the person on the opposite end of me.
Yep, for sure. I can so relate, Denise. And especially in my industry, med tech, it's very conservative. It's very buttoned up. So to allow myself to really just be me felt very vulnerable. But I think that's most of us in business, and even on your side, right? Like, it's just, it's different. It makes us feel a little strange.
Yes. Well, I still can't get I can do the movement here in front of you, but I still could never dance on a video like you do. I mean,
I bet you can do some jazz hands. Come on, Denise. Come on, give me some jazz hands. Okay.
I mean, I was a what was I? Shit. Dance team. Look, I cussed again. Sorry. See, this is my real self.
This is
I was on
real.
yeah, I was on the dance team. So of course I can do the,
That means
yeah.
you
Well,
have some real moves to share, Denise.
I don't know. I don't know about that. You have great moves.
Thank you.
Well,
Thanks.
so now how do you, so when we're talking about strengths, right? So you're a
Yeah.
sales leader, which by the way, I mean, if anyone didn't pay attention to the topics that I talked about last week, it was about sales and marketing and the fact that you can bring the two together. We could have an entire show just around, the
Yeah.
merging of, or the alignment of sales and marketing. But putting that aside, you've got team members, right, that work below you, right? You're the VP global marketing and sales. So you've got people underneath you, and you've got, whether that's 2 to 20 people, maybe it's even more than that. You've got to work with people who have all different strengths. How do you do
Yes.
that effectively? Do you make them go through a strengths fighter? Do you try to understand a little bit more about them from that perspective? Do you share with them also what yours are? How do you manage through that?
Yeah, I do with some of them, and I manage my sales team. They are veteran sales reps, and I'm not the leader who is going to be the goofy cheese ball and shove something down their throat, right?
Yeah.
If they are not feeling it, I respect that they are where they are today because they've been successful. And I brought them on my team because they've been successful. So in those scenarios, unless they're willing to share them with me, um, I just acknowledge I am very intuitive and I really start to understand how they tick, how they like to be managed. I'm not a micromanager. I didn't like to be micromanaged. And maybe sometimes to a fault, I'm that way. But we have learned to work with each other. I know one of my reps primarily, we interact via text on a daily basis more than anything else. But you know what? They get their stuff done, they're hitting their number, and we're all good. But then, my internal team, they're more open to it, right? And I don't know why, but we do talk about strengths. If I have a new rep come in on board, like we just had one start 2 weeks ago. She just took her strength finder last Friday, right? And it just helps me understand who she
Yeah.
is and what makes her tick. I'll share with her what I think, and I want her to read through it, but it's up to her to embrace it, right?
Yep.
Like, I can only do so much. I'll give you the tools, but you've got to want to dig in and really take yourself to the next level. It's a
Which
personal journey.
which by the way is really meeting people where they are. And we have to do that whether you manage a team or you're out there carrying a bag, selling as an individual contributor, right? We have to
Great
meet our
point.
buyers, our prospects, our team members. We have to meet them where they are. And I think that's where I see a lot of challenge these days is people are struggling with that. And maybe it's because we've now, we're in this digital age where everything is mostly or primarily on Zoom. Maybe that's why, but I see a lot of people struggling with this ability to meet people where they are.
Yeah. I will admit that I have struggled with the Zoom world. Like it has taken me time. It has taken me a
Mhm.
while to be myself on a sales call. I know we're sitting here today. I'm very animated and this is who I am in general. But like when I'm with a customer, I am more reserved, right? I am more in my mind grounded. I'm not doing jazz hands for my customers on a daily basis.
Right.
Um, I will. My husband, he's in cybersecurity sales, and I have watched him, and I don't know what it is, but he has this magic touch to sell through Zoom more than anyone that I've ever seen. Like he can connect instantly with people. He just has this way about him that he can really relate to anybody and crack a joke or lighten the Zoom room where you don't feel the tension.
Mhm.
But it's hard. I'd rather be face to face any day
Yeah.
if I
Well,
can.
and unfortunately, that's, when we went to this digital world, right, when we were all isolated and sequestered to our homes, it was a real struggle
Yeah.
for me, which is when I really realized that's when I actually spiraled down into the depression. And it was when we finally started to move out of that, when I realized oh, wow, I was depressed. And here's why, because I needed that human connection. So it took me, like you, a very long time to get to that point where I felt comfortable on Zoom. Now I can stand up and show you I'm wearing shorts. The upper half has a shirt, but the bottom I have shorts on, right?
Yeah, same here.
I couldn't do that back then.
I've got my red parachute pants on. Yeah.
Which, by the way, I do want to acknowledge. Gabe says I'm excited to connect with our great guest today. And he said he already sent you a connection request and a message.
Awesome. Look forward to connecting, Gabe.
Awesome. Well, in your role as a global VP, and you've got you have inside and you have outside teams, whether they take on, you're going to meet them where they are, whether you take on a little bit, sharing with, whether you understand a little bit about, I don't know why I'm struggling. I am really struggling today.
You are so good. You just keep going. I'm following.
Okay,
That's
good. I'm glad.
real.
Because you move at the same pace I do. In my head, yes. So see, look, we get each other.
Where I took my dogs out of the room for a reason, and my son just dropped him back in here. So I am sorry for the barking.
No, it's okay. That is real life, right? That is this digital world we live in. But that being said, you sometimes you choose to understand their strengths. Sometimes you just meet them where they are without really understanding. You're intuitive enough. You can figure that out. What about those team members, though, that are a struggle, right? One of the things I see today is we tend to just get rid of salespeople very quickly rather than truly trying to understand why they're struggling. What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? How can we guide them so that they are better sales reps and overall better for the organization? Because it does cost a company a tremendous amount of money. When you hire someone, you onboard them, then you decide you're going to let them go without any direction. And then we have these pool of sales reps who don't really know what they did wrong, what they could have done better, how to get better. How do you help your sales teams try to ensure that they are really growing and that you're helping them truly leverage their strengths rather than spending so much time on their weaknesses?
Yeah, it's such a loaded question, especially for a startup, right? Because time is of essence when it comes to sales. And if somebody's not cutting it, we sometimes have to make a really aggressive decision. But to your point, it takes a lot of time and money to get them up to where they need to be. Back to the point, they've got to want to be coached. They've got to want to improve. And if they can't take constructive criticism, which I have seen, that's an issue. And to me, that can be a no-win situation. So if they're open to allowing someone to coach them, then we can make that happen. But if they're not, that's when I see that, okay, we probably need to cut our losses sooner rather than later.
Get it. I think that's where it would be, even when I come in contact with people who pitch slap me in the DMs, and for some reason I'll feel this nudge to respond to them for the first time in a while, right? I haven't responded to all of these DMs, but then I respond to theirs and I try to find ways to engage in conversation so that I can attempt to coach them so that they can represent themselves, their product, their company a bit better. And they don't, many of them don't even care to hear or want to engage and really even understand or recognize where their weaknesses are. And I think that's where the biggest challenge is these days, is being able to, one, have those conversations with the sales rep, but the second is the sales rep has to be willing and able to want to make a change. And then we have to do a better job at coaching them, right?
Yes.
We have to take on that initiative to try to coach them, which I think as sales managers and sales leaders, we forget about the coaching and we just want to send them some enablement stuff and hope that they get better rather than coaching them to get better, right?
Right. And I could 100% do a better job at that, Denise. Like, again, startup, we're wearing multiple hats. Like, there's just not enough time in the day. And I can say that as an excuse, but I know I can do a better job. Right. And
we can all do a better job. So
myself that I know that there are areas I can help others improve who want to improve. Right. So, I think it's important as a leader, we have to be able to coach those people. That is our job.
Yes. Or if you can't, you need to find a coach who can help them.
Yes. Great.
And there's tons of coaches out there. that
Yes.
can that offer really great opportunities to work with your salespeople to help them improve. Okay, we've been having great conversation. I've been struggling, not quite sure why I'm struggling to communicate this morning. I have not finished a full cup of coffee, so maybe that's it.
I mean, you
Because
did just go through a hurricane, right?
I
Like,
did.
you didn't have water.
Gabe says, I wonder if Courtney drinks coffee or just wakes up this energetic.
No, I'm on my third cup, Gabe. But I have been up since 4 a.m. this morning, and I'm not sure why, but I have. So it's almost midday for me.
I love that. So there you go, Gabe. I have not even finished a full cup yet, and I'm not really quite sure why I'm moving. That might be why I'm moving so slow, but I'm not quite sure why I'm not even drinking very fast, why I'm drinking so slow. But nonetheless, it is 35 after. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. I am so super excited you were here, Courtney. And I think we even have you scheduled to come on for a coffee with Denise, right?
Yes, we do. I think in 2 weeks.
I'm super excited about that. So for those of you that don't know, obviously this one is all about sales, this show, but on Fridays, I host a show at 10 a.m. Houston, Texas time, which is Central Standard. And that is where we just talk about all things human, right? All things about those individual guests who come on stage. So I'm super excited to have Courtney there for that because it'll be a completely different subject. And it's not even really subject related. It's just really getting to know an amazing person like Courtney just a bit more, introducing great humans to the great LinkedIn community and family. So look forward to that. I'll see you then. But for those of us who are out there today, I want to thank everyone for having been here. We have been trying to talk about, we have actually been, but one of the challenges I see these days is that we could do a better job as sales in connecting with others and in elevating sales so that it is a noble profession. And the way to do that is to truly understand your strengths. Mm-hmm. Courtney is amazing as a leader, as an individual. She obviously has tons of energy, but she also recognizes what her strengths are. And she really focuses on how to leverage those strengths and knows when to back away when her strengths can become almost a little too much for others, right?
Yes.
And so we were able to talk a little bit about that today and share. So if you weren't here for the entire session, be sure to jump back on and watch the replay. But before we really close this out, we've talked about a lot, Courtney. And what would you say would be maybe the one thought that you would want to leave everyone with?
Is to believe in yourself, right? You have to believe in yourself first before you can get anyone else to believe in you. And that is a huge part of sales because if you can't go and put your best foot forward, that customer's going to see right through it. So believe in yourself. You've got this. Know what your strengths are and go out and be bold and be confident and be you.
Love it. My only parting thought is that when you believe in yourself, like you said, everyone will see that. The way you can do that is start taking time to journal or do a strengths finder or take quiet time and meditate. There are multiple ways to do that, but I would say take some action today. If you don't believe in yourself, if you don't know where your strengths are, go take the time to figure that out. Walk away from the rest of the day and just carve out a little bit of time to figure that out because you will find it will make a huge difference. So my last parting thought is just go do something about it if you aren't in the position that Courtney is referencing. So thank you, everyone that is out there. Thank you for being here, especially after a hurricane day yesterday for me. Glad that I have power. We didn't have power the last time around, so I'm super excited we at least have power. And Gabe, Gaida, Chella, thank you for being out there, and anyone else that was there. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Look forward to seeing you guys here next week at the same time. We'll post Courtney's episode for the coffee with Denise, so stay tuned for that in a couple of weeks. And have a good rest of your day and a great rest of your week. So thank you, everyone. I'm going to take us
Thank
out by
you.
turning on some music. And thank you all for kind of putting up with my struggle. I can't communicate too effectively today, but I'm going to turn on some music as I end the stream so it isn't quite so awkward. And we'll see you guys back here.
Bye, everyone. Thanks, Denise.